the moment when I was working on Wall Street and recognized that I needed to do something different that was bigger and better than me, and that everyone else needed to hear. And it was that idea that Create and Master the Art of Connecting. It was I have to share with the world what I have learned over these last X number of years and want to be able to help others build from this, because I'm going to be limited just doing this. And by the way, it was a leap because I was financially successful. I was, I had not only responsibility, but I had a lot of other, I had a house, a mortgage, things, and planning in college, and all these things to pay for. So taking this leap was a huge risk. But sometimes it's important to recognize that if you know that you can take that one breath today and start something that's going to make a difference for so many others, would you want to just sit behind a desk and not let that happen? You have to take those leaps to make your dreams happen. And you got to figure out when it hits you is going to be different for everybody. My path was that path. And that path has been literally thriving loudly every single day since then. And has led to even more exciting projects, which we can talk about. But from my backstory, it's just to today's story. Let it be known that what happened then doesn't necessarily matter. It's what we're going to do today. And I love letting people know that if you're taking the energy and lifting yourself up and doing all those things that you need to do to try to connect with others, the way you can work on helping yourself be, and how you can do that to lead yourself to have great conversations, everything is going to be amazing going forward, because you've only made one difference, because each day you're set out to make just one connection. Think about that. That's like 365 connections a year. And every single day that you do that, you are adding to this world and this planet. So my backstory got me to the point that if we're not connecting people every single day, my goodness, we're missing out, because we know what it's like to be disconnected. So we know that there takes an effort, that everybody has a responsibility to do it.
Yeah, it's really interesting too to come off the tail end of everything with the pandemic. And I'm saying tail end because I'm an optimistic person.
Yeah.
And so it's the knowing that
it's always going to be with us, like anything
yes,
else, like a flu or this or
sure,
that. But
sure.
we've solved some problems.
But to think like you were in this space prior to that happening. And so you got to have a whole nother level of research basically that has taken place in the midst of the pandemic, of lack of connection, disassociation, identity crises that were happening across the globe. And so I just find it really interesting that you were in this space and now able to serve and still thrive loudly on your podcast and the other areas that you were showing up. So what would you say is like your biggest takeaway from that disconnecting view, that lens?
I think the one that we need to be together. If there's one thing that, you and I met in a virtual environment, we're still talking in 2D, if you would. At least I get to see you this time. And
True.
And think of it that how much more impactful it is when we're in person, right? I think we all recognize that, oh my God, we really do need to be together and understand how important that is. So it only reemphasizes the importance of having to connect with each other, and what we need to do to make sure that when we can't be together, that we do as much as we can to emphasize and keep the connections rolling, from the Zoom video conferencing to how we need to be, to the energies, to the podcast and the things we need to listen to, so that we can stay connected. And I think that has only been amplified even more. It was nice to almost have that guy was kind of right before all this thing happened. We do really need to connect together.
True.
So to be able to help people figure out how to do that is really the thing. Okay, don't pat yourself in the back that you're right. What can we do each day to make it different? Take that breath to figure out the next step.
It's so powerful. And I think a huge component of my community as they're stepping into like entrepreneurship or launching or things like that for the first time is everyone is so geared towards the connections, if you will, on social media, meaning followers. And I think it's so much more valuable to say, and I know people who have only 2,000 followers, but they have a thriving business. Their home life, their relational life is so empowering. And so for us to recognize that we have an opportunity to grow our following, but based on true connection, 365 times a year, think where you would be in that 5-year momentum and that 10-year momentum when I'm 49 and at the point where Morgan Freeman was, right? Like you have the opportunity every day. And I think that's the word that I keep coming back to as you're talking is it's an opportunity. And if you don't take that opportunity, this association that occurs not only with self, but with humanity when you don't say yes to it.
So true.
So good. Lou, you've been such a gift to my day. And I love wrapping all of the past couple of days together to come to this point. And so I appreciate you fully. I hope everyone goes and listens to Thrive Loud. Are there any other areas, other than your book, obviously, that you want to send people?
Well, we have something coming up in 2022,
Ooh, let's hear it.
later in the year, exactly what we've just been talking about.
Mm,
Um, Look, we all recognize, wouldn't it be great if we actually knew what we needed to do to prepare for all these conversations that we should be having
mm.
to make great connections with everybody? Well, be on the lookout. It's coming out in fall, September of 2022. It's my second book, which I'm the most proud of because it is so unbelievably fun and it's so cool. Be on the lookout for Speak Easy, Connect,
Ooh.
Engage, and Win with every conversation.
Oh,
Coming
I
to you soon.
love that. I
And
love that.
yeah, so check out Thrive Loud, the podcast, and thriveloud.com, where you can find everything, and we will be promoting more about it. And there'll be many more programs to feature and talk about it in 2022.
So my entrepreneurial mind is thinking as you're going. I feel like Speak Easy is such a brandable concept, right?
Yeah.
And your connection power and your desire to do that. Why don't you do like connection meetups, like speaking meetups?
Stay tuned.
See, come on, great minds think alike. I love it. So cool. I'll be on the lookout. My community will too. And please let me know how I can ever serve you and support in that way because I am all for connection. Thanks so much for being here.
No, thank you so much for having me.